Anybody else? Yes, I love you guys have lots of questions. This is great.
Where did you get the inspiration for people's names?
People's names. I don't know. Jack's name just came to me. Jacqueline. Names are hard for me sometimes. You just kind of try. Sometimes I'll write a book and I'll have them try one name and it doesn't feel right, and then I'll change the names again and that doesn't feel right. And it's sort of like, it's very challenging. Actually, I think names are one of the hardest things for me. And then all of a sudden it feels right and you're like, oh, okay, thank goodness. You know, but that's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that. Yes?
Do you have any advice for like people trying to write sort of a short novel thing?
Which sort of write novels?
Yeah, like somebody who's trying to write a short novel.
Okay. What you do is, when I first wrote my first book, I didn't know I was a writer. What happened is I wanted to write, I felt like I had to write the truth about my life, not the fairy tale glossy version I told the world, like the truth of my childhood. So I started writing like a piece, and then I wrote another piece, and they were just little pieces. So if you're trying to write something, if there's something you want to write, you can do it several different ways. You can, if you know where you're going, you can write the whole thing, or you can write some pieces. If it comes from real life, then it's easier to write the pieces, and then you lay them out, and then you see what's missing in between and add on. If you're doing, if you know sort of where you're going, or you just want to write, if it's fiction, then what you do is, what I find helps is I write. If you write, like give yourself, I'm going to write 5 times a week, or I'm going to write 3 times a week. Say you're going to say, I'm going to write a page, or I'm going to write 2 pages. I give myself 3 pages. So I do those, but I'm a very bad speller. So what I do is I write my pages, but I don't spell check, I don't go back, I don't rework it. The next day when I go in to write, I go back and I start doing the spelling checks, the spelling fixes, and shifting sentences a little bit, and then that carries me on for the next section, so that then I'm in the story by the time I get to the end of the blank page, which is always the hardest part, and that carries me on to the next one. And so I just keep going back and then bringing myself up and past it. But you can also take, there's like young writers workshops, there's a young writers camp, I think, that's happening in Penticton, where the kids stay for a week and authors come and work with their writing, and they work with their writing. There's lots of different things. The main thing to do as a writer is just write. And as you write, you'll get more and more sure of your voice, and write what you want to say. Don't write what other people want to read. Write what you need to say, and that's where the truth writing comes out. And you don't have to show it to anybody. You be very careful about who you show it to, because sometimes somebody who doesn't understand the writing process can squash a dream quite easily. So the main thing is, just at your age, to just keep writing. Okay, and there also, I think they have something for young writers at the Surrey International Writers Conference, I think, but I don't know if it's for your age or a little bit older, but I know they have something for young writers. You can ask Laurel, who set this up, because she works with Surrey as well. Anybody else? Yes.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
You said about enacting.
Yes.
You sometimes felt like somebody discovered you weren't really.
Right. I think a lot of people feel that.
Do you feel more comfortable as a writer? Do you think?
For a long time, I felt like, I'm not really a writer, I just have something I had to say, right? Still sometimes. I think a lot of people feel like that. I think a lot of times people think, well, when I'm grown up, I'll know what. I think that in some ways, when you're younger, you are who you are. You might have to put on a certain face for your parents, or a certain face for your teachers, or a certain different face for your friends, but in the beginning you're kind of who you are, and then it starts getting a little scattered, and then I think as you get older you start saying, whoa, wait a minute, who wrote these rules and why am I following them? And then for me, then you start dropping into, okay, and so now, like, the person you see right now is the same person my husband sees, it's the same person my kids see, although my kids might not see it when they look at me because I'm their mom. But I'm the same person for my friends as I am for my family. I'm nobody different. But there was a period where I was, if you put everybody I knew in a room, I would be like a schizophrenic person. Do you know what I mean? I'd have to be this for this and that for that, and God forbid, you know. So it's like, the important thing is to keep yourself and to keep true to your path. And that's the important.